The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good afternoon, traders. Where is everybody? This market's just getting good. What is going on? Sorry, I have some allergies, and I'm right in the middle of a coughing bout. Give me just a second. With his enthusiasm and charm. Good to see you, Bob. Good afternoon, Fred. JP followed the script I sent him, and that's why things are going well. I sent him a script. A little bit of dip because he ad-libbed a little bit. Gosh, come on, Jer. You know you're not supposed to deviate, but I don't know. Look pretty good though, right? Inflation. So, yeah, accelerated on the CPI, better than expected. Expected to go down and better than expected, even still. So a positive surprise on top of expectations for improvement. That's good news, right? Okay. Welcome to the Tradespoon live trading room. Here today, we will discuss stocks and options. My name is Scott Beck, and my role here at Tradespoon is the head trading coach. Additionally, I have been trading for almost, I'm calling it right at the 1st of July, almost 25 years. And I have been teaching, coaching, mentoring for 4 less than that, so almost 21. That's me, my friends. These are the disclosures, or if you want to call them disclaimers, I'll allow it. Be careful out there. Trading can be risky. Okay. Just having some fun. Because, again, where's the traders? Feds. I didn't see that earlier. They low the full. I think it makes it November then, right? I mean, I don't think they're going to do it in September still. Maybe they hit it once in November. Jared's speaking right now. What is he saying? Today's inflation reading is a step in the right direction. That's it. That's it, buddy. That's it. Majority was May CPI report shows consumers are empowered. I don't even know what that means. Who is that economist? I don't like him. Consumers are getting more bullish on stocks. I mean, you know, I'm bullish. I agree. What else? Same news here. This is Investors Business Daily. Interesting. Okay. Well, we had CPI today. I'm sharing my screen, right? Can you see my screen? I feel like I'm off my game, just like. Yeah, okay. The optimism index expected to increased by more. Month to month, expected to get to 1, it got to 0. Year over year, expected 3.4, we got 3.3. Core CPI expected to hold at 3.3. We got 0.2. Core CPI, we expected it to drop to 0.3, 3.5. We got 3.4. I mean, across the board, good reading. That's what we've been looking for. Is do we have evidence, empirical data that demonstrates inflationary pressures are easing and the Fed will have the ability to then cut that rate. Cut that rate. Cut that rate. Can you have spectators at Fed? I'm gonna maybe try to go to the press conference without a press pass, just as a spectator, and see if I can't get maybe like a chant going. You know, I don't know. What else this week? Well, tomorrow we have PPI. Expecting the bigger drop there from 0.5 to 0.1 for standard PPI, from a 0.4 to a 0.2 on core PPI. I didn't see if they put out any projections. Maybe if I reload this thing, they usually do, but they didn't. Jobless claims expected to stay in the 220s. Nothing there. Consumer sentiment expected to uptick. Market posture, I'm bullish. I'm at a solid 5.5. Solid. What else? Well, let's go see what Stella says. Stella says, Scott and I met. We went to couples therapy. We had some chats. We held hands. We sang some songs, and we found alignment. I'm bullish. She's bullish. Could there be some type of a consolidation still? Yes, for me. What do you guys think? I want to hear from you. Do we potentially have a 2 or 3 day flag before this little thing kicks? I would say that over here, there's a bit of ambiguity. Like I think, I'm going to wait for some things, but today may be the trigger you've been waiting for on others. So there you go. Stella says, bullish on SPY. What say you on the NASDAQ? Definitely could see a consolidation here, Fred said. Okay. Bullish on the NASDAQ. What about the Russell, Stella? Can we get 3 for 3? Dun, 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 dun. No dice. No dice on the IWM. What's the problem? It hasn't translated yet for me. Here's the IWM. Up 2% today. We drifted below the 50. Not as bad as the Dow. And now we've popped back up. Why? Because the hope of interest rates in decline are all the small caps need to get a little enthusiasm. Apple leading. I mean, it's not just Apple, Bob. It's Apple. It's Google. It's Meta. It's Nvidia. It's all of them. The gang is all there. Google, Microsoft. It's a reunion tour, and I'm here for it. I celebrate it. Living their best lives. I'm gonna be a roadie, a groupie on that tour. I don't know. I think I found myself a little lost in my own metaphor. That happens to me quite often, I find. But I enjoy it, so I'll keep doing it. Okay. Did we talk about everything? No. We have one more to go. The Dow. I'm a little iffy on the Dow. I feel like the Dow's worth one. I think she's just a little behind. I'll get her there. We'll talk. We'll talk. Dun, dun. Okay. Bob says, talk about Apple. And so I say, okay. I feel like it was, but not just, I assume you mean like this is cementing its position. It really, and that was a trade there. you know? So there you go. But yes, their AI, I'll have to look into it. As of right now, I rate it and prioritize it as such. Number 1, ChatGPT. Number 2, Gemini. Number 3, you might be thinking, oh, he's going to go with Copilot. No. Claude. 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 Number 4, Copilot. I find Copilot really iffy sometimes. Now, I had a financial question. It was up and I pinged it and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I think you're wrong. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right. And then it put it out the same answer. I'm like, okay, you jackass. We're done here. I actually said to it, I'm like, you know what? You're lagging behind ChatGPT, this conversation bot. Bob says, I'm old school. Alexa, hilarious. I love it. Apple's definitely, I mean, there's nothing for us on Apple now. For me, the way I trade, I can't come in after it's up 14%, like, oh, look how great it looks. Like, it does. And when it pulls back, otherwise I'm a spectator. Maybe if you were going to do that on day one, you would jump down to like a 4-hour chart. In this case, it would have had to have even been like a 1-hour chart, to be fair. Where are you? There you are. I mean, within the first hour, this thing was up here at 201. And then it kept going a little more. Make it a Heikin-Ashi, and you have yourself something. But this is a whole different style of trade. This isn't a swing trade. This is like a momentum trade using a continuation thought process on an hourly chart. It's feasible if you think to yourself, hey, stand the pressure. Where was I? Get out of here. Paul says you had to stop at 193. I'm going to tell you, I actually closed. I closed most of it. Oh, I just kind of, yeah, got some of it. It was a good trade. I got a great trade here, a fantastic trade with one contract. Anybody else? Anyways, it was around 193. I ended up just closing most of it and holding one piece, and I was like, I should hold more, and then I'm like, no, I was scared to. I'm like, there's news coming out, just wait and see. I'm like, that's like earnings. Did it feel like that to anyone else? I'm like, I'm just gonna hold the piece and see how that news comes. Great earnings and down, Paul. That's a good point. Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is it was kind of a little outside of like what I was thinking about doing, and so I'm like, I'll just hold one contract, put a stop, get out quickly if it's not good. That was what happened. Okay. Let's go. Did we talk about everything we were supposed to talk about? I'm a little bit. Oh, Fed Watch. Let's do a quick Fed Watch. So let's go to July. Our next meeting is now 48 days away, and it's going to fly by. That's 7 weeks. It's going to fly away. VIX hedges now prudent. They're still setting up for sure. We'll talk about that. I'm putting a calendar on, so I can show you if you'd like at some point. 10-1 against in July, nothing there. Now you can see it's about 1.5 to 1.4 in September. 2-1, actually 3-1 for, because you got 2-1, and then you have this equal odds that they might get 2 cuts. Bob's News said policymakers are divided. 8 predicting 2 cuts, 7 foreseeing 1, and 4 looking for none, suggesting the median could change depending on. Okay. Officials expect 4 cuts next year, 4 more in 2026. That'll be perfect. 4 more in 2026. Yeah, I'm looking to buy land, a big chunk of land, but I feel like there's going to be a little regression in some of these inflated prices, and I want rates to come down. That's where I'm retiring. 500 acres. And anyways, that's a different story for a different day. Let's go look through some things. Let's get a quiz. Let's look at the VIX. Let's look at our watch list. See what we think. It's a bullish day today. Woo! Till that, I know exactly where I'm going with my lines. We're going to go right across here. And we're going to go right across here. A, we finished near the highs. B, we finish in this range. C, the sellers come in. What is Utah land now? Utah is like one of the most expensive. We're literally a small tier, at least in like Salt Lake City Metro, like a small tier below, New York. And I mean, it's ridiculous. My kids cannot afford to live here unless I let them live in the basement or the upstairs while I rent the other half, which I will. The boy will probably move in the basement. I'll rent the upstairs. He lives free. They pay the mortgage. I move to the country. No, I'm thinking like, Southwest. You can get it for about $1,000 an acre. So, all right. Give me your numbers, everybody. A, B, C. I'm a B. I think we're going to finish in the middle. I think that the buyers just showed their fear. We got here once for about 10 minutes. Me. Fred sees it a B. Paul says C. Sellers are going to scamper. We're going to finish at or near the daily lows, possibly into this gappage area below 541. Yeah, that's what we're thinking. Okay, that's all very reasonable. Very, very reasonable. Let's see. Bob is a B. Paul, okay. How many of us are here today? There's just not that many of us here today. I don't know where everybody is. Woo, okay. Anyone else? Who is here? I'm going to check and see. I'll know who's here. All right. Okay, good. Game over. That's it. ABC. Oh, man, look at that. It's going to go right through. Paul's going to nail it. Okay, hold on. I'm curious about Stella on this one. This has me curious. So I'm going to pull it up real quickly here, and then we're going to look at the VIX. Then we're going to look at our watch list. We'll see what the hell we think is going on. What the hell is going on? Okay. Up. Back down. 542.77 at 2 p.m., which is 4 p.m. Eastern. 542.77, Stella says, closing price. Stella's a B. She's with us as this thing looks like it's going to venture down to C territory. I think I can see where our lines are, but 541.50 and 543. That's crazy. It's a $1.50 range. It doesn't feel like it, right? Okay. Let me clear my lines. And what's Vlad? Is Vlad bullish? I'm always curious. We don't really collaborate as much as I would like. I always like I love trading partners where I'm just like, hey, let's sync up for a half hour a week. Just talk about the market. Where do you see support? Where do you see resistance? What strategies do you like? He closed his hedge today. Capitulated, overly cautious, a bear by nature. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like today gives me, there's a certain candle that I always like to talk about, mostly because I like to say the name of it. Where, like, let's say tomorrow we gap down a little bit and then it runs a little bit. Bob, you know where I'm going with this one. What am I going to have here? That right there would be an abandoned baby. It's an abandoned baby. What kind of baby? Abandoned. Others might call that a island reversal. An island reversal. It's like an island by itself, and then it reverses. That's a fun one. Others still might call that an exhaustion gap. Remember that gaps are not just like, hey, it's a gap. There's 4 types of gaps. Breakout, runaway, exhaustion, and common. If you don't believe me, ask ChatGPT. Not Copilot, ChatGPT. And again, I'm not saying that's what I'm predicting. I'm just saying, hey, what else would come along with that? Here's the deal. We're breaking higher. We're failing near the end of the day. Our volume is unlikely to be above average, although it could. We've got 30. Actually, I'm gonna eat those words real quickly. It could. Average is 46. We're at 39, 38 million, and I'm like, yeah, above average. And it is a positive day, even if it gives it all back from where we closed yesterday. Still positive. That would be a bullish indication. That volume would be more bullish than not. However, that the abandoned baby. First of all, that's a consideration. Second of all, somebody in here said that we should probably talk about the VIX. I know they did. Bob said VIX hedge. Box. I combined. You'll notice that this thing dropped. We're down here in this oversold. We're down here at what? At this low. Where is this low compared to previous? Higher. And I bought Lulu after earnings. Keep losing. Lulu on earnings. Let's take a look, Paul. We'll bring up Lulu. Lululemon. Okay. What do I know about this? Whatever escalation we had, and we did, to get to this point, it is only nullified if we get at least all the way back down to here. So if tomorrow the VIX gives us something like a doji in the middle and then the next day it does this, that's it for me. I'm like, yeah, I'm concerned that not only are we going to advance, but that we might find ourselves heading into this area. Bing. And the only time to have the trade on is well in front of that. Okay. 5 weeks out, 5%. You're out of the money. We'll look at that today as well. It's not on now unless you're saying to yourself, hey, I've got some bullish. I want to hedge because now is the cheapest it's going to get, probably. At least, I mean, the market could go higher from here, right? But I'm not going to put it on, but we'll go look at it. 5 weeks out puts us where? July 19th. July 19, special day. My son turns 22 on that day. 22. He was actually 1 year old when I moved into my first coaching role. That marks 22 years. I told you it was coming. All right. 5% out of the money. Let's get the second piece of this thing in place. So you might think, oh, there's no trades I can do. Of course there's trades. I can always find something to trade. Market's at 541. 5% out of the money puts me at the 514s. Great. I might think of the 515s too, just because it's close. So yes. Let me put this to 514. So the 514 is standard $1.25. Beautiful. I could go to the $5 increment for $1.30. Yeah, I would definitely do that. I get to that level. It's only 6 cents more. I get one strike closer, so I would definitely go to the 115. That's my hedge, Bob. If you're looking at it, if I'm looking at it, that's what I'm thinking for now. Now that's early, and that's why it's so cheap. If we wait till we get confirmation, it's probably going to be closer to $1.40, $1.50. Yeah? Okay, there you go. So if you need one, if you want one, if you're thinking about one, that's a good starting point, at least for you to consider, I think. Early now, triggered by confirmation of higher low on the VIX. There we go. Let me erase these lines and let's get to our watch list. Shall we? We shall. Okay. Maybe I'll find my watch list. Oh, Apple, there you are, you magnificent animal. Wouldn't tech be a better hedge? I mean, if you're holding a lot of if you're holding a lot of tech, I just always go off of the SPY. It's the most liquid. Would that be a higher correlation, especially if you are more concentrated in tech, which I have been? Yeah. I mean, it's what I know. It's what I know. So, it's worth looking at. Yeah, they are tight as well. You're right. I mean, they are tight as well. But my preference is, I mean, if you're going to do that, I would say move to the Vixen, right? We're on the VIX, which is the implied, and it's subtle, but there are times when one triggers and one doesn't. I don't track them both as frequently anymore. I used to track them all. So you have VIX, that's the S&P 500 volatility index. You have VXN, the Vixen. The Vixen is the NASDAQ 100 volatility index, so the Qs. You have the VXD, that's the Dow, and you have the RVX. RVX, that's the implied volatility index for the Russell 2000. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to argue. You'll get no argument from me, sir. Okay, what's next? AMD. The rest of them have moved. This one's a little behind, but it also still could be a setup. So if you think, hey, if that starts bouncing, the others are strong enough that I think it's going to break 170. Because if it breaks 170, I think 185 to 190, perfect. No, and then you're thinking, well, wait a second. RVX, Russell Volatility Index, RVX. V is for victory. Amazon. I like it, but it's overbought. I'm looking for a flag. Any 50% consolidation, which is basically to the 50-day moving average, anything pull back to here and bouncing, I'll take a shot at it. I think it's going to try to break that 190, a little bit of a kind of a triangle type form, so that if it breaks this level up here, I think we're going to get 205. I'm bullish on Amazon, especially on a breakout. AXP financials have been shook. You got to be careful here. This has been a very strong sector in my trading, but I feel like they've been shook, and I think you have to be a little bit more cautious here now. Boeing is setting up for another trade if you're willing to go. Anything above 176, it's valid. The last trade worked out quite well. You too can get a piece of Boeing momentum. Bank of America looked like a signal, but now it's kind of like all the way back into yesterday's range. If it had finished up about 39.5 or better, I think I was going to trade it. It was on my list. I'm like, I think I'm going to take this. But by now, this was pinching. Now it's open. This is why we got to wait till the end of the day sometimes, right? Same City does not look great right now. Caterpillar still waiting. Colgate, I would trade this on a higher low. A little bit of a symmetrical triangle. So yeah. CMG, if the split had happened, I would be taking a shot at this. I just don't like the logistics of trading CMG right now. That's my biggest concern with this. Look at that bearish engulfing pattern on COP. That looks like it's coming down. Costco maybe about to give us an opportunity. So I definitely want to trade this on a pullback. If I were to trade a financial, this one in EQH, I'd probably say EQH is a little stronger for me, but this is holding the 50. That's like hey, let's give it a shot. If I'm wrong, I'll know by like 28.35. So I'm taking 65 cents of risk. If I'm right, I think it's reasonable to get 31 and feasible to get 32.5 if this thing makes a run. Because look at how it can run sometimes. So I could get 2 to 3.5 off of 65 cents of risk. Yeah, that's 3 to 1 up to 5 to 1. It's worth maybe a look. Delta is worth a look. Bouncing off of this higher low in this somewhat of a triangle type pattern. Delta is definitely worth a look, I think. Here's the Dow. Gave it all back. All of it back. EQH gave most of it back, but still a bullish signal and still bullish here. So this is one where you're like, hey, if you like it, the fact that it's here, you shouldn't be like, whoa, does that mean that? No, it just means that it didn't hold that, but it still achieved what it was supposed to achieve by breaking above previous highs. I think EQH is another one. This has more confirmation, lower reward to risk. I would actually expect to see the Heiken Ashi in place. Sure enough. What does that mean? It means I'm not going to put a stop below the low like I would with CRBG. I'd put it over here, right below today's low. 40.36 is the low. I'd probably say 40.30. Same thing, 65 cents worth of risk, with the hope being that I can get 3 points on this thing if I catch it after this first little bit. Target of 44. Volatility is low. Not really great for spreads. I don't know. We're just talking. We're just waxing philosophically. FCX, gold, they fell apart. Bitcoin kind of struggling at this point. It's really, really gone more sideways. I'm going to call that a same high. This thing went up, pulled back, same high, which means what? Which means that if it breaks to the downside of this 59, that's a double top. If it breaks to the downside, I think we're heading back this way. And if it breaks this one, I think we're heading down to this one. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. GE, I think it's still viable. I would trade it still. If this turned around and got above like 163, I think that it's one that I would be like, that will be. I've taken 2 trades, lost on the first, made on the second, but I'm a little behind overall. The third trade is gonna be the tiebreaker. Whether or not I continue to trade or not. Not everything, just GE. Gold struggling. Google. I mean, it looks good, but it looks overextended. It failed to move much higher today. I like this one, but I'm looking for a pullback. You can see it gave a lot back, but it held on to almost 1.5%. The Dow gave everything back and is negative. So I'm looking for the Russell to continue moving into a stronger position than the Dow. That's going to continue to push my overall assessment of the market higher. KBH looked good, but it's given most of it back. Home builders should do well with lower interest rates. Coca-Cola, I'm looking for a trade on Coke. I had a great trade on Coke last time. Caught the entry here, caught the exit here. Just squoze a great trade out of Coca-Cola. I want another one. I'm feeling greedy. Meta, strong but needs a pullback. When it pulls back, I'll trade it. MFC, oh man, look how long it's been going sideways. If you're going to do financials, I think we have better. I'd rather go either with a confirmed trade with EQH or a more speculative higher reward to risk trade with CBRG. Nope, CRBG. But I'm not really feeling this thing. It's just been dawdling here for too long. It looks lost. MMM, if you're in it, you might still be in it. Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is actually one that if I'm going to speculate on like a bank or a broker to lead financials back, this is it. If it doesn't break the 50, if the stochastics turns back up, if we can get back above like this 97 mark, I think that's where I would look to go. I don't think I'd have the Heiken-Ashi. Oh, actually, I think I would have the Heiken-Ashi. Let's keep an eye on Morgan. That's the sleeper for me. That's the sleeper of the financial sector for me. It's Morgan Stanley. You heard it here first. Microsoft, bullish. Helping Apple. When Microsoft and Apple are leading the way, tech is going to be strong. Bob, I don't know why you always have to argue with me. I'm just kidding. He said Goldman Sachs for me. I'll pull it up. You could be right. You could be right. Microsoft is strong. Google is strong. Meta is strong. Apple is strong. Nvidia is strong. What complaint do you have? Then people are going to be like, oh, it's only 5 stocks. It's only 6 stocks. I don't know what that voice was. Someone who is exasperated. It's not though. But those have to start us off, right? Those have to, right? We're not looking for a catalyst from a couple of obscure penny stocks. Like, what? Did you guys see that BXGBTC moved? And everyone's like, what? What is that stock? No, they're like, hey, look at Apple moving. Look at Nvidia moving. Look at Goldman. Okay, let's see Goldman. Goldman versus Morgan. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Goldman looks good too. Goldman looks good too. 2 million shares on Goldman. 2 million shares on Goldman. 5 million shares on Morgan. I've got you beat on the options. I see your Goldman and I raise you liquid options. Okay. I think they both look good. Take your pick. Very correlated, very similar. Nvidia, strong. Looks strong. Got all the way back up to this. Could be ready to accelerate again, to be honest. Cheaper. It is cheaper. You're right. Palantir back on my list, but waiting for a pullback. QQQ. Look at that bad boy popping to the upside. Love it. Horrible closing, Bob said. We're selling into the close. Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to hold. I still think we may have that consolidation. So, yeah, we'll see. RTX looks viable soon. Look at that beautiful steady trend. Beautiful. SPY. Yeah, sure enough. Who's my C today? Paul? Paul's gonna sweep that solo gold medal. Magnificent call. The sellers did. They just the fear. Look at that fear. They poked their head at this 543, 544. Like now, we as traders should be making a note of that. The significance of that for either A, when we try again, or B, when it closes beyond that point, and we say, oh, Oh, we got through there. Don't dismiss these things where we're like, oh my God, look how scared the market got when it got to that point. Duly noted. Yeah, it does look like the well, and you can see already Bob says horrible closing and the market's like, oh, is that what you think, Bob? Well, what about this? Starts coming the other way. The market's always listening. We know that. And we praise you, oh mighty market. We sing your praises. TSM. Look at that. Look at that bull. Look at that bull. Looks great. So there you go. UUP. So I've been talking about the dollar a little more lately, and the fact that we had kind of moved into this. It's not a tight. It's not tight enough to call it a basing pattern, but definitely a consolidation, a sideways consolidation. We said if it breaks to the upside, that's not good. Now you can see we hovered here, and we popped into that for just 2 days and then right back out, but we're threatening again. This on the dollar is this for the market. By contrast, if we break out to the downside, then we think the market's more likely to go up. So we're definitely paying attention to this thing, right? We're paying attention to this. The VIX still quite low. Robert is here. Hello. And good to see you, my friend. As always. Let's take a look now. What's the thought process here? You guys know my thought process. If I'm not hedging, but I see a very low VIX like this, I love the opportunity to put something on like calendar spread. I'll go take a look at AVGO. Is that Broadcom? Broadcom. So here's the deal. Broadcom with chip stocks looks good. Overextended though, pushing highs. Oh, Vlad has something. Must be earnings based because it's reporting earnings. So does he have like a naked put or okay, he has an earnings trade. I'm not familiar with what that trade is. A butterfly. I'm actually quite surprised that it didn't get. You can see last time the vol really got swole. In that last week, we went from 43 up to 60, and then it just spit it all out in 2 days. And you can see here, it's like we were kind of starting to just never really got that swell this time. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but there you go. Okay, so another trade I said I was looking at then would be on the SPY. I'm going to go to a calendar spread. And I'm going to go out 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, which is going to be about the 28th by the 5th, or you could do the 28th by the 12th. Lately, I've been doing 1 week apart, and I've been liking that better. So I'm going to go here. I'm in the calendar spread. I'm going to go June 28, July 5. My thought is this. With us being overextended the way we are, if it were to pull back and get to the weekend, I could throw something else on and just carry the whole thing through. I'm going to probably put this a little below where we are now. And that way, if it advances, I have some room without having to do much. I think I'm going to go 540. So with us being a little overextended with the potential of the abandoned baby, I'm going to go 540 as the strike that I'm looking at. 60 cents. I mean, 60 cents looks good. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get 60. That sounds about right. If I don't get 60, If I don't get 59. Okay, there you go. 59 filled. Beautiful. Here is the something funky going on. Let me get rid of something down here. There we go. Yeah, that's a nice looking little piece to try to catch the market moving a bit sideways here. That's a neutral trade, you can see. I wanted to just sit here. If it just kind of eases back and gets to Friday. Here is Thursday. Nope. That's Friday, the 14th, right? Yep. Then I get Saturday. Then I get Sunday. Then I get Monday. By the time I get to Tuesday, I'm already in a situation where I'm making $130 on a, remember, it's 60 cents. So I'm at 20% already. I can start taking profits, lock a little in, carry a little bit. Anyways, I love calendar spreads as a complementary neutral trade with my directional trading in a bullish market with low volatility. Absolutely, all the time I will be doing these strategies. 100%. I'm excited that they're back. Questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Let's go back into our watch list. Let's finish up here. What the hell? Where did it go? There it is. Oh, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Taiwan, we already talked about. Where were we? VRT. VRT, that's another one from financials that looks like it could be viable. Good reward to risk, but a little iffy. Sorry, Paul. Let me grab that right now. Thank you for flagging. How low can it go? The answer is anywhere. Definitely, though, look at this most recent watermark, 293. At this point, with where it is, you can see it's just kind of like knocking right on the door of this little area here. It's very difficult because I think it could easily move into here and still bounce and actually still be viable to the upside. So I would look at this as my consolidation, and it broke out of that consolidation and got to here. So now if it gets to a higher low anywhere in here and bounces, it's viable and valid and would possibly then make a move on up. So you got to be careful with this. It's highly volatile right now. Fred says, Lulu, it'll stop going down when it's done being cheap. Yeah. Here's the good news. Look at today's volume. Does that look like the same kind of selling? This candle and this candle are the same candle. This one had this much volume. This one had this much volume. So, yeah, I think you may have to just kind of gird yourself for a little bit more, but I would probably want to give at least to here to find some support. You don't got to give it all the way down, but I would at least give it to that pre-earnings point. Okay. Let's look at these sectors real quick before we wrap it up. Basic materials, kind of consolidating. Communication services, bullish. That's one bull. Energy, down. That's more easing of inflationary pressures. Financials, a little iffy. It's a little dubious. So be careful in financials. Industrials are actually looking a little more stable. So I think there's some opportunity to be considered there. XLK, strong on technology. Easing up on staples. Easing up on utilities. I feel okay about what we're seeing here. Yeah, I feel okay about that. Let's go see what the winner of today's prize is going to be. I thought for sure it was going to be Paul, but Bob said we might have had a comeback here. Let's go take a peek. SPY Where am I going, guys? I'm going to the 5-minute chart. Oh my goodness, you're right. It was 541.50. We're at 542. Did we get back? Oh my goodness. We made it back in. I'm sorry, Paul. I gave you a great call credit before it finished. But indeed, it looks like it's coming back in for the bees. I am going to, I'm going to give it to the bees. I mean, I know it seems a little shady because it's like, wait, Scott, aren't you a bee? And it's like, yeah, I am. So, congratulations, bees. We did it. Hard work paid off. Something like that. I'll be back Friday morning. I like what I see. I like what's happening here. More to come. I think more bullishness coming our way. Fed moving into some more dovishness. The market's going to like it. It's great to see everybody. Have a great rest of your day. As always, happy trading.